Yeah, that's what the flashlight. I did that, so we have 30. What kind of?
Yeah, no, the beginning was like.
Getting shot. One spot that's not. I see there's like,
What's the whole family?
Canadian keys, signals hanging out.
Morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the 272nd MPTC meeting. My name is Rob Mashel, Sheriff of Oneida County, and I'm honored to be the chair of the council. And I would ask all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could all remain standing for a moment of silence for all law enforcement and those who lost their lives serving our country. Thank you. I'd like to begin with introductions. We'll start from on my left, and we'll go around the table first, and then we'll go into the audience.
Bruce McBride, Commissioner, retired, SUNY.
Morning, Mike Bonds, Deputy Commissioner for the Office of Public Safety at DCJS.
Good morning, Johanna Sullivan, Director of the Office of Public Safety at DCJS.
Michael Puckett, DCJS, Office of Public Safety.
Molly Bates, DCJS, Office of Public Safety.
Natasha Harder-Locklear, DCJS Legal.
Colleen Glavin, Deputy Commissioner and Counsel, DCJS. Just forgot from.
Yes. Dr. Joseph Popkin, Executive Deputy Commissioner here at DCJS.
Rosanna Rosado, DCJS Commissioner.
Dominic Blasco, Police Chief, Town of Crawford.
Craig Thomas, Deputy Superintendent, New York State Police, Employee Relations.
On the audience.
Zach Warner, DCJS Office of Public Safety.
Adam DiVincenzo, DCJS Office of Public Safety.
Megan Springy, DCJS Office of Public Safety.
Mike Whiteley, Deputy Executive Director for Law Enforcement and Public Safety Bureau at OPP.
Gavin Boyer, Office of Public Safety.
Jonathan Becker, Office of Public Safety.
Sarah Dean, DCJS Office of Public Safety.
Michaela Nelson, Office of Public Safety.
Jennifer Tharp, Office of Public Safety.
David Zag, DCGS Liaison, New York State Chiefs.
All right, welcome everyone. I'd also like to acknowledge Chief Matarazzo from NYPD and Dean Curtis, President of Safe Horizon, both joining us virtually here on. Is there anyone else on virtually, or just those two?
Good morning, Lieutenant Kadetsky, NYPD.
Lieutenant Morgan Cornell, NYPD Police Academy.
Sergeant Gregory McNally, New York State Police Academy.
All right, welcome everyone. First, like to begin also by welcoming Commissioner Rosado, and if she'd like to share a few words.
Sure. This is our last meeting of the year. Can you believe a year has gone by? I'm delighted to be here. I just made it up this morning. I skipped that storm yesterday. On Sunday, I celebrated not only a successful Thanksgiving, but also my 4-year anniversary here at DCJS. Of this exceptional agency. Over the last 4 years, we've had to respond to a number of crises: gun violence, violent extremism, mental health, motor vehicle and retail theft, and more. But we've always used the same skills to address these very different challenges. Those skills are our ability to convene, facilitate, and support your and our local partners' solutions to making communities safer and stronger. It's been a distinct honor to lead this agency at this moment. Thanks to Governor Kathy Hochul and the state legislature, we've received record resources, and our team has put them to work and got that money out the door. From GIVE and SNUG to the crime analysis centers and our efforts to lift up communities through SNUG and Project Rise, we are learning from those who are closest to the problems and elevating their solutions. This approach has meant real progress over the last 4 years. Last year, shootings reached an all-time low outside of New York City within our GIVE jurisdictions, and I'm happy to report that through October of 2025, that progress has accelerated. What that means is gun violence is down more than 60% outside of New York City from where we were just 4 years ago. Murders are down nearly 45%. This is incredible progress that represents thousands of lives untouched by the scourge of violence. And yet there is so much more work to do. I'm excited for 2026 and look forward to continuing to build new partnerships and sustain longstanding relationships as we travel the state, delivering data, dollars, and shared determination to make the lives of New Yorkers better. With that, I will turn the program back over to the chair and thank you all for your work in helping this be a successful year.
Thank you, Commissioner. Getting on with the agenda, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the MPTC 272nd meeting agenda. Have a motion? Have a second. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you. Are there any edits or comments of the meeting minutes from the 271st meeting? If not, if there's a member that would like to entertain a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from the 270th meeting, I would entertain a motion.
Move to adopt.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? So carried. Let's see, any comments, edits to the September 9th special meeting that was held?
How you doing today? Good. How are you? Good. Tired. Really? Mm-hmm. You were at last night? Mm-hmm. And came home? Mm-hmm. To get you. I came home quickly. Went to go take a quick shower and then came
Anyone that's on virtual, please mute your.
You didn't just come home for me though, right?
I'd like a pizza.
You can make sure our computers are muted, please. Thank you. All right. Going back to the meeting minutes from the September 9th special meeting. If there's no request for any edits or no comments, I would entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion, do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So carried. Let's see, next item, adoption of our 2026 meeting dates. Meetings will be taking place on March 4th, June 3rd, September 9th, and December 2nd. I would entertain a motion to adopt the proposed 2026 meeting dates.
Motion to adopt.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Right. Domestic violence model policy update. Move on to this action item. I would ask Josh to present on action item number 3, DV model policy update.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to stand behind the podium. I apologize, but it's a little bit of a technical issues here we're trying to navigate. So bear with me as I go through this. So in your package, and I sent to you prior to the meeting, you should have proposed edits to the domestic violence incident model policy, specifically just the firearms section. And the reason those edits are being proposed is that Governor Hochul signed into law on October 16th a new bill that is effective immediately that impacts law enforcement in terms of amendments that were made to CPL 14010. And it specifically, those amendments that were signed into law requires police officers to essentially take temporary custody of a delineated list of weapons that are footnoted in the model policy that was provided to you under certain circumstances. And within those circumstances include weapons that are in possession of any person arrested for a family offense and or as well as weapons in plain sight, weapons that are recovered or taken as based on a consensual search or discovered based on a lawful search. And when the weapons are in plain sight, they may be taken when the victim responds affirmably to a suspect threat question that in the DIR, as well as when the victim responds affirmably to a lethality assessment in the DIR. And also if there's reasonable belief by the police officer for removal of weapons that's necessary to protect the victim. The portion of the law still remains the same in terms of removal of licenses of person arrested or suspected of a family offense. But the law also, the amendment now requires that the weapons that are removed be held not less than 120 hours to allow the courts to make a determination whether the return of the weapons would prevent further harm to the victim. And if their court makes a decision that the weapons are not to be returned through an order of protection or an ERPO or whatnot, those weapons will be continued to be taken in custody by law enforcement. Otherwise, if there's no court order or anything preventing it, the return of the weapons need to be returned within 120 hours. Again, the 120 hours is there to allow time for the court to make a determination to ensure the safety of the victim and determine what the next steps may be in the case. I do want to bring to your attention, if you have the proposed edits, I'm going to bring up the actual proposed edits. We do have one minor edit that we'd also like to make to the model policy. All right. So the one minor edit, in addition to what you have, is in the blue here in line number 1. So it says an officer shall take temporary custody of all firearms. And again, the citation for firearms as defined in 14010, including long guns when the domestic incident involves the commission or suspected commission of a family offense that results in an arrest. So that's the additional proposed amendment. And we also want to make a proposed amendment to the footnote as well. You'll see at the very bottom, footnote number 20 and 22, as well as footnote 23. The reference is now CPL 14010 subdivision 6 instead of 5. So we made that revision as well. Any questions on this? And what we'd like to do is, if the council would approve the amendments to the model policy, we would then send out a memo to law enforcement, one, advising them of the model policy, but secondly, really advising them too of this change in statute to make them aware of it, because it did become effective immediately. And obviously it has a great impact on victims and their protection and their safety. We want to make sure that all law enforcement is aware of that as well.
So the only question I have on E, where the weapon is going to be returned, it says the weapon and or license taken into temporary custody must be returned within 120 hours if there is a written finding that there is no legal impediment. Where's the written finding coming from? What is that referring to?
It refers to the licensing authority or the courts.
Okay.
It's spelled out in more detail in the statute, but we're trying to.
All right. Okay.
I think we need to clarify it, but the written finding is in the statute says courts or the licensing authority.
Okay. Because most agencies, once you take a weapon, we're not going to give it back unless we are ordered to give it back.
Right.
Because
it's
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Just clarify, so if we go to a verbal domestic, we see a firearm, we're taking it, right? No, neither party wants to go to family court or criminal, there's not enough for criminal court. We have to then make an application of the court to get back the guns in 5 days?
No, it's a verbal, would probably, it's one of the qualifying, they have to take it, they shall take it when there's something that results in an arrest, and the victim answers affirmative to the threats in the prior history, lethality questions, or you believe that there is a future threat. So that's how you take it. You won't be able to give it back when they come to get it, they won't be able to give it back unless they have it written.
Okay.
Still though, right? Verbal domestic, no arrest. And the victim says, yes, I fear for my life in one of the boxes, right?
Yep, then you're taking
You're
it.
taking it, but who gives you, who allows you to give it back if, is it the license? Like, because you're not going to court because.
Yes, and if you feel that we can amend it from the statute, but I believe the statute itself says just the licensing authority or the court.
So are they gonna have like a form to follow up on? I mean, because they're gonna be reluctant to do that too.
Of course, of course. I mean, I'm not sure how but it says a written order, is what it says. Obviously, I'm sure the court and the licensing authority it just passed on October 16th. So I'm sure they're gonna have to work through that.
The discussion in our station is from our evidence guy is that he's just gonna see if an FFL will clear it to give it. I'm like, I don't think
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
the
it says
thing.
written.
So can we get clarification in the model policy to maybe just put like bullet points that these are the people that have to approve that release?
I think what we could do, it probably might help us to become a footnote there and then put the actual statutory language. If that would assist, I think
I think it would.
Because I think I'm pretty sure, Justin, I don't have it at the moment, but I believe it says the courts or licensing authority.
It says, no legal impediment to the owner's possession of such weapon. This is existing law, not changed.
Yes, the change, yeah, I think,
This was not or added. This is how the current law or the law prior to this passage. If no, sorry, no legal impediment to the owner's possession of such weapon and or license, the court or if no court is involved, licensing authority or custodian. So in the case where there's no, it's a long gun upstate, custodian of the weapon shall direct return of a weapon not otherwise disposed of in accordance with subdivision 1 of section 400.05 of penal law or such license taken into custody pursuant to this section.
What about a shot?
That's what it says when no court is involved.
Yeah.
Like, there's no issuing authority for a shotgun.
Right.
So we as the department can give it back.
Yes, it says direct.
Yeah.
Custodian.
Direct return of a weapon, not otherwise.
We don't have to use an FFL. We can just give it right back, run a criminal
I
history.
mean, a department may have a policy, it's different, yeah. But this was existing law.
Can we get some of that grant money for more storage containers?
We do have a $10 million URPA one coming out.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and we can drop that exact language in
Cleans up the
here.
confusion.
Yes, to clarify that. Thank you for raising it. Appreciate it.
But we also will be consulting with OPDV and potentially doing some webinars, this was like, responding to the effective date. I think we always have shown a willingness to come back in March or expand if we need to, or partner with other agencies to make sure that we're getting the word out.
Bruce?
Yeah, so this is gonna have an immediate impact on basic school and all the training that we have and, so that just will be
We've
done.
already incorporated, thanks to the assistance of OPDV and Janae, who are out there right now. As you know, in September, we adopted the new domestic incident portion of the basic. They've already incorporated it into the course and updated it accordingly with an learning. So we just incorporated it and updated it. So, and are out there now. They're both out there right now. They're sitting here talking about them, but they're right here. Out there right now, training the instructors in the workshop and incorporating it.
And the training director is around the state.
That's our hope with this, is why we wanted to move so quickly on it, is that we got it out there and got it out to everybody. And so as Josh indicated, we'll be sending it out. We send it out to chiefs and we always send these updates out to the training directors.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Josh on this? All right. If there are no other questions, I would ask a member to make a motion to accept this model policy change.
I'll make the motion. The footnotes added would be perfect.
Okay, do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Oh, we need our votes virtually also, correct? Do we need to do that verbally or?
They should be already listening.
Okay. I just-
You could ask her.
I can, let me see if,
They're good?
give me, I could pull them up. Hold on 1 second. All right. Chairman, if you just want to get an affirmative from Maureen Curtis, Chief Matarazzo, and Dr. Long.
So for those online, just looking for your vote on that last motion to accept the updates to the model policy. We have an aye from Maureen. Chief Matarazzo?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, okay. And Dr. Long?
I believe she dropped off. I don't see her.
Thank you, Josh. We'll move on to our next item, the extreme risk order protection, extreme risk protection order model policy. And Molly's going to give us an update on action item number 4.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the council. This morning, I'd like to discuss updates to the Extreme Risk Protection Order Model Policy for your consideration. This policy was first adopted by the council in 2022 and was updated in 2024 to incorporate updates to the definition of petitioner as defined by civil practice and rules law. Included in the policy are statutory relevant factors the petitioner can use to establish probable cause for an ERPO, such as, but not limited to, a threat to self or others, violation of an order of protection, previous ERPOs, and others that are listed in the policy. Due to recent updates to civil practice and rules law 6342, the additional factor of evidence of recent acts of aggravated cruelty to animals as defined in agricultural and markets law 353-A is now included. All relevant factors are listed in section 4 of the policy on pages 3 and 4.
Any questions from council members in regards to this update? All right, if there are no questions, I would ask for a motion to accept the update to our extreme risk protection order model policy.
Motion to accept.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We could go to our virtual attendees for their vote. Chief Matarazzo? Got a thumbs up from Maureen? Thumbs up from the chief. Thank you. Any opposed? So carried. Thank you, Molly. We will now move on to our next action item. Again, Molly is going to do a presentation on responding and interacting with persons with disabilities model policy.
Executive Law 840 was recently amended to incorporate use of force guidance into the responding to persons with disabilities model policy. This policy was originally adopted by the council in 2018, and new updates have been drafted to meet the new statutory requirements. The updates are incorporated in section 4, which is arrest and custody procedures, and section 9, training. In section 4 on page 20, the following guidance was added in the arrest and custody procedures. Letter A, where feasible, officers should strategies to reduce the need for force when interacting with a person with a known or perceived disability, particularly if the individual poses no immediate threat to the safety of themselves or others. And letter B, in any interaction when force is necessary involving a person with a known or perceived disability, Officers will use only the force that is objectively reasonable with consideration for how disabilities may affect an individual's ability to understand or comply with commands to achieve a legitimate law enforcement objective. In section 9 on page 20, the following guidance was added to training. Officers will be periodically trained on interactions, including use of force considerations with individuals in emergency and non-emergency situations with disabilities. Additionally, edits were made to section 4 on page 6, responding to and interacting with persons with disabilities, section C, general interaction and communication guidelines, to align with guidance recently added to the basic course for police officers on blue envelope and visor card programs, and reads as follows. Documentation. Some individuals may provide police interaction communication aids such as visor cards, special wallet cards, or envelopes in essential documents like a driver's license, registration, and insurance cards to guide both the officer and individual through interaction. Any questions?
Any questions for Molly?
On page 24, under training, our model policy says officers will be periodically trained. Is there a time frame for that? Or like
We have an in-service curriculum that agencies can use to do their own in-service. We have an MPTC curriculum that agencies can utilize to do their in-service training.
Okay.
And over the past, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years or more, we were partnering with Niagara University and doing their disability awareness courses. But numbers sort of have slowed, so we're kind of taking a break from them this year. But they do have good virtual training courses as well for agencies to utilize.
Any other questions from? If there are none, I would accept the motion to adopt the amendments as discussed to the responding to and interacting with persons with disabilities model policy.
So moved.
Perhaps we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And if we could switch, looking for thumbs up. There we go. Thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you, Molly. Move on to our informational items. First one is regulatory amendments, status updates. Oh, I'm sorry.
6. Six.
Something.
For number 6.
General person response,
Oh, individuals in crisis. I'm sorry.
This guy.
It's fine. All right. Again, moving on to this next item. And again, Molly, update.
Recently amended Executive Law 840.8 requires the MPTC to recommend rules and regulations for all current and new police officers regarding the handling of situations involving individuals who appear to be mentally ill and are conducting themselves in a manner which is likely to result in serious harm to the person or others. We propose the following regulations to meet the needs of the statute. New York Codes, Rules, and Regulations, Part 6000 govern PCJS, and Part 6020.3 establishes the minimum standards for basic training. We propose a new letter H to read as the following. Training regarding the handling of situations involving individuals who appear to be mentally ill and are conducting themselves in a manner which is likely to result in serious harm to the person or others shall be conducted in accordance with the policies and procedures and minimum standards as established by the council. Additionally, New York Code Rules and Regulations, Part 6022.3 established the minimum standards for in-service training, and we propose a new letter F to read as the following. Training and periodic retraining of police officers regarding the handling of situations involving individuals who would appear to be mentally ill and are conducting themselves in a manner which is likely to result in serious harm to the person or others shall be conducted in accordance with the policies and procedures and minimum standards established by the council. The draft language for both of these regulations
mirrors language previously approved by the council for training regulations regarding to hate crimes and in-person death notifications.
Any questions for Bob?
Well, referring to my previous question,
So this training is a development. So this is a new statute. So we are currently working on the model policy. Particular statute regulations generally seem to take longer than the training developments. We wanted to get approval for them to get that ball rolling as we're working on the other projects to support it.
what I find interesting on this one is that this clearly states that we have to do periodic training, and this is for all police officers and public peace officers at some point in time. So, and I've always been an advocate of in-service training, mandatory in-service training, as opposed to, well, this sounds nice, let's do it. So, and I know this, we're not gonna solve this today, but at some point in time, this will probably be the time to see if there's something that we can have a periodic schedule or methodology. Doesn't have to be in service, like in, face to face. But this is a little bit different than some of the others that we've seen. And we don't have it for firearms. Well, so this is, I found this very interesting.
But I can add, Commissioner, essentially, this sets up the structure for agencies when they complete in-service training, specifically mental health training. It sets up the infrastructure that they can report it to us, and we can issuance of a completion certificate for that training. So the regulations establish that.
Right.
As Molly mentioned, the general municipal law as well as the executive law was amended to require within 3 years all law enforcement police officers to complete mental health training as prescribed by the council, right?
Right.
So what we're currently working on is basically kind of a dual parts. We're in the process of getting ready to present hopefully the model policy to the council in March of next year. Simultaneously, we're starting to get the wheels turning with developing what the training would look like so that way law enforcement can meet the requirement to have all their officers trained in mental health before the 3-year date comes up to maintain that basic course for police officer certificate. The training will probably most likely be 2 components. We'll probably have an online training because we had to make it scalable for over 60-some thousand police officers in the state, and that includes all the way up from line and rank and all the way up to executive staff needs to complete the training prescribed by the way the statute's written. In addition to that, we also want to provide to agencies decision-making scenarios that can be conducted either at roll call or incorporated into in-service training that is based on science-based learning. We know what we've had extensive discussions in the past regarding the recognition prime decision-making model, and so to speak, building up that Rolodex of decision-making points that an officer can apply later on when they encounter an actual incident. So we're developing basically pen and paper decision-making that agencies can also utilize to help meet that periodic training requirement as well. There's also been discussions within our office to address, once we get done with this project, to look at providing more resources to accredited agencies who have to meet the 21-hour requirement. And part of that could be we continue to facilitate and provide these decision-making exercises or scenarios, right? That could be utilized for agencies to help meet that 21-hour and also satisfy the periodic training requirement for the mental health training. Obviously, agencies outside accreditation could use it as well too, but it'll be a resource. We'll continue to build up the resources that are available for agencies to utilize different resources and materials that we develop for in-service training. So I think that's kind of how we'll approach this with the way the regs are written. But really this sets up the ability for agencies to report to us now to include it up on their training record through drafting of these regulations. Obviously, it's already in the basic course, so it's just a formality to include it in the regs because that's what the statute required. But mental health training is already in the academy training. But we'll take this as advantage too to also expand the mental health training in the academy to build in more decision-making exercises when responding to an individual in crisis.
How's this going to marry up with the mental health professionals, which sometimes seem to be a stumbling block for us as we try to do our part as law enforcement and their part as, you know, the mental health professionals?
Right. So one of the things is when we develop training, because this has a policy and procedure component, right? We have put together a panel already with mental health practitioners along with law enforcement and other key stakeholders to work through, I think, some of the sticking points, as you mentioned, in response to mental health crisis. And I think we'll be able to work through some of those when we get the panel together. We have a pretty solid draft at this point, get ready to send it out to the panel. And I think that's where a lot of discussions are going to occur to address some of those sticking points. And then those sticking points, the resolution to that and the model policy will help then guide what the training is going to look like, what we develop.
And we're very strong partners with OMH on this. Obviously, specific mental health within that, but OMH has been really working hand in hand with us on all of these trainings.
Any other questions, comments? Are none, I would entertain a motion to recommend for promulgation to the governor the proposed regulations for Title IX, NYCRR Part 620 and 622. The motion, do we have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or thumbs up. There we go. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Molly. All right, now on to informational items. Natasha, first informational item for some status updates.
Thank you, Chair. These are the regs that were approved by the council earlier this year. These regs amend Part 5021 of the rules and regs, and the course and police supervision. And the regs, basically, and OCS can elaborate more, they just try to align the regs with best practices going on in the law enforcement community. I don't have any additional news. I know we have counsel over at Chamber, so we're trying to get him caught up to speed. So hopefully we can get these regs and now the new regs approved quickly.
As Natasha mentioned, and Molly's going to speak on it a little bit more on our updates, but we're very close to getting ready to launch our project to redo the course and police supervision. And it was kind of a preemptive strike with amending the regs to ensure that we had flexibility to develop the curriculum based on contemporary issues with first line supervisors. The way the current regs are written, it's very limiting in terms of the topics. It was very specific, and I would imagine those regs have been around for quite a few years. So obviously those topics that are listed, they're not maybe in line with, the contemporary issues that we seek to address in the new curriculum. So it allows us a little bit more flexibility. We wrote them, if you recall, a little bit more broad to allow periodic updates to the course of police supervision without being outside the constraints of the regulations.
Thank you, Natasha. Next informational item. Josh is going to provide us with a summary of initiatives OPS is currently working
on. I'll be brief on this because I know many chiefs and sheriffs have heard me ad nauseum on this, but just to update the council where we're at with this. I want to first and foremost thank Adam, who recently joined us. He hit the ground running with me. I was kind of drowning in this project, and Adam really took the reins and ran with this. He's a very humble man, but came in and did a ton of work on this project to really get us close to wrapping it up in terms of what the final model is going to look like. We have one more session of data collection scheduled for actually next week down in Long Island. Hopefully the snow removal team is working well to remove the snow from the track. But we have essentially that last data collection, which I think completes about six of them or seven of them at this point we've done around the state. to finalize what that model is going to look like for use at the local civil service level. And like I said before, the gold standard is what I presented to you guys is the actual, I'm going to just call it the obstacle course, right? Which is the physical ability test. But we've also determined what are predictors physical fitness tests that would predict the cut score time that they would achieve on the actual obstacle course, so that local civil service could run the predictor test. It's kind of like the Cooper test, but it's actually validated and linked to the gold standard cut score time of the obstacle course. And it's going to be the 1.5 mile run, the grip, we're going to measure grip strength from the dominant hand, bench press, and they're going to do the Illinois agility test. Those 4 tests are going to be the predictor tests that local civil service is going to run at the preconditional job offer stage. We'll have a lot more detail, obviously, on how to run those tests. We'll have to train instructors and so on and so forth. And the candidates themselves will also have their own test information packet to assess their level where they're at in preparation for the physical ability test, something we've never had before. But they will be testing themselves on these 4 different tests here. And again, it's an aggregate total. There's not a single cut score time for the 1.5 mile run or for the grip strength bench press. The idea is you could have one physical dimension that's a strength that could offset a weakness of another physical dimension. So more to come on that, but we hopefully have, after this data collection next week, we'll have the final model wrapped up, and then we'll do through the next stages of training instructors, amending the regulations, and then working with local civil service and obviously law enforcement to inform them. There'll be no surprises, and we'll make sure that everybody's prepared as we make this change. Obviously, we'll be equipping the academies too with all the equipment too as well needed that would be needed to conduct the obstacle course during the academy session. Any questions on that?
Just what's the Illinois agility test?
Right, it's basically you're measuring agility, your ability to cut quickly. So one of the aspects of the job task analysis came back is the ability to dodge, swerve, like cut. So for instance, you're chasing after a subject, right? And you have to quickly make a left turn or a right turn. It's measuring your agility. And that agility is linked to the actual performance of the obstacle course, the physical ability test. So essentially it's a test that you start off laying on your chest at the sound of the tone. You get up, you run straight 30 feet, you run back 30 feet, and then you weave through a set of 4 cones, 4 cones spaced about 10 feet apart, 3 cones 3 feet apart, 4. I'm drawing a blank.
Total of 4.
Total of 4, well, because you go around, yeah. So it's 30 feet distance. You run back and forth. Then when you come back, you go through a set of cones, 4 cones around, and you weave in and out, and then you come back, run another 30 feet. And it probably takes about 19, 20 seconds on average to run through that. But we're measuring the individual's physical agility for that. Grip strength is the neuromuscular strength, and it's related to your ability to use your upper body, and the bench press is going to be the absolute strength, because what we determined is there's an absolute upper body strength that's needed to surmount the wall, as well as to control the physical control simulator too. So there's an absolute bench press strength that's needed for that. And then the 1.5 mile is, I don't know what the norm value is for them, what came back yet, because we're still collecting data. But then the 1.5 mile will be used to address cardiovascular strength that's needed to complete the test. And again, the test is really designed to simulate you wrestling with a subject after pursuing, chasing, and all the exit interviews that we've been collecting is generally the summary that comes back to us is, yes, this is how I felt after having to wrestle and control a subject after a couple minutes or 3 minutes or so of wrestling with a subject. Exactly how I felt. And that's what we're trying to achieve, is what may be one of the most arduous tasks that law enforcement may need to perform.
Any other questions or comments for Josh?
This isn't for veteran police officers, right? Which is
No, I'll be very, yeah, obviously the council doesn't have, the statutory authority. It's all at the hiring stage, right? The preconditional job offer stage.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. I will say this, there's more to come, but it's possible that because we validated the model based on incumbent police officers, that if agencies and through, obviously it have to be through contractual agreements and whatnot, could utilize it to possibly incentivize physical fitness. But it would be a validated model and it would be defensible in that manner if you wanted to use it at the in-service level. But again, that's outside the scope and purview of what we have the authority to do.
We currently do that in our correction side of the house with, we offer a stipend for them to pass, physical agilities. It depends, actually, it's how you, we use Cooper standards again, but the better shape you're in, the more it is. It starts at like $250 and goes up to about $850 extra for the year. So, couldn't get it in law enforcement contract. We're gonna try. Yeah. Dr. McRae?
Is it safe to say that, we see light at the end of the tunnel in this project? No, and I say this not to be, snarky or anything. This is really a compliment to you and your team. And, six, seven data collections. I only went to one at Albany, but I mean, it was truly the cast of thousands. I mean, in making this thing happen. So, so it's a compliment, but I'm hoping that.
I'm hoping it's done as much as you are, yeah. This is the light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to see it because now we know exactly what the model is going to look like. We know what the predictor looks like. We know what the obstacle course looks like. We know what the cut scored time is. We established that at the last meeting. So the next phase is the rollout now of the implementation phase. And we got to train all the instructors. We have to, obviously we talked about, we have to amend the regulations, right? We then have to identify and talking with Deputy Commissioner Bonds, it might not be as arduous as I thought it was going to be at first, but we have to obviously work with local civil service because there's going to have to be a point where you have to cut off the civil service list, right? Because you can't be hiring one person under one standard and another person on another standard and then expecting them to graduate from the academy on two different standards. It's not going to work, right? So at some point, there's going to have to be a cutoff where all the lists are going to have to be, so to speak, invalidated with a new list. But hopefully, we can figure that out and do that. That seems to my mind be the biggest hurdle, but it might not be because unfortunately, as we look at it right now, the lists aren't really that large where they're not being kept for multiple years like they used to. So it might be a little bit easier than I originally anticipated to get that process. And then we'll have the materials. We're going to also do filming as well. So we're going to do a lot of filming to inform the instructors of how to administer the test, but also filming for the recruit candidate too, right? So they're aware of it. We'll put together the test information packet as well. So there's at least a solid, I think, like a couple years left still of this, in terms of implementation, where I'm saying is at that 2-year mark, that's it. It's the new standard. We're set to go at that point. So, but it could go faster. I don't know. I have amazing colleagues here who get the job done. So I think I just don't want to give any false promises that it might be quicker than that. If it is, then, pat on our backs, I guess.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Josh. Moving on to new business. Is there any new business that any council member would like to bring up for discussion?
There's some additional updates from staff. I'm sorry.
I'll handle the, two quick notes. The first is on firearms. Just provide an update on sort of the implementation of the rollout of the instructor changes and then the implementation at the basic course for police officers. So a good measure of that are probably just the raw numbers. So we have, in terms of instructor updates for newly developed instructors using the new curriculum, We have 771 workshops. That includes 191 peace officer instructors that received the 5-day update. Once the council approved the workshop as a standalone curriculum, we did see a lot of academies and agencies filling their own needs using the workshop curriculum, which has been very helpful. And then 251 standalone pistol instructor course completions, with 83 of those folks being peace officers. So each one of those completions is someone who can teach at the basic course for police officers. So in terms of saturation, we're getting there. We had 4,500 or so firearms instructors, certified prior to this beginning of this project. Many of those aren't actively engaged in instruction, or they are at the agency level, which is not something that we were extremely concerned about here. So we're quite a long way along the path. We'll continue to support this initiative through pistol instructor and firearms instructor workshops for the foreseeable future around the state. We just announced recently some down in Westchester, and we have several registrants for every available seat. So it's a very in demand. And then at this point, we have 6,835-ish folks that have completed the basic course for police officers with this new requirement. So as Josh alluded to with the lists, the turnover is happening, and so we're starting to see a lot of police officers receiving this training. And then as the council did last meeting, where we adopted changes to the SWAT curriculum and the instructor requirements there, we're having that saturation through all levels of experience within the police departments. So happy to entertain any questions, but I think we're kind of just trucking along here and making this change. It's going well. Second quick note on the job task analysis. As we've discussed, we are in the process of evaluating proposals. So an RFP was put out on the contract reporter in October. We received a number of proposals back from that RFP. We just finished on Monday, Adam, Janae, and I as the rating team evaluating those proposals and submitting that back to finance. The vendor that is chosen, the bidder that's chosen, would be responsible for the administration of a survey to law enforcement, similar to the survey that was conducted for the corrections JTA, or the one that precipitated the PT project, where we're rating a core list of job tasks, knowledge, skills, abilities, depending on the vendor. They label them differently, equipment usage, and then we'll evaluate the current basic training course, and then build a training course around a final report that's issued by that vendor regarding what a police officer's job actually entails, and then how to start to get that done in a training environment. And so we're looking at summer of 27. We expect to have a report like that, and that would really start in earnest building the course around that, evaluating the current course, and starting to more align the course with what we know to be job tasks based upon this validated report. So happy to answer any questions there. I hope to find out this week what the vendor is that we'll be using. We don't actually know yet, but we've got a number of very qualified vendors, I think, on deck.
So this almost mirrors the job task analysis that was done for the firearms course. And so we're looking at the whole scope of things that police officers do.
Agreed. The firearms, that was without even knowing what we were doing at the time, with the help of Dustin Solomon, building shooters. We were engaging in a job task analysis. That was kind of our first foray into this. And I would agree, yes, that's exactly what we're doing here, just on a much larger scale. So, involving all of the knowledge and skills and abilities and tasks that a police officer would engage in, aside from just firearms usage. So much larger.
first is curriculum and training development materials. So that's about a 2-year phase. They'll be doing essentially a job task analysis and then, or they call it a survey, to develop the materials. Deliverable 2 is the development of a train the trainer and our pilot sessions. That's about a year, almost 2 years for deliverable 2. Deliverable 3 is developing a course evaluation tool, and that runs simultaneously with the second deliverable. The 4th deliverable is the statewide implementation, so that's about 8 months. So that's rollout strategy, getting instructors all up to speed on the instruction. And then the 5th deliverable is just technical support once it's all finished and out there. So approximately 4 years, 10 months is their proposed timeline from start to finish for that project. Any questions on that?
It seems long.
Yeah.
It does seem long, it does, but
We have to go back and change everything again after 4 years. I mean, I know this current program's been for 25 plus, but.
I think 1997.
Yeah, 19, yeah, so I had long hair back then. I mean, why does it take so long? Just because of the scientific part of it?
I think part of that and just, getting feedback and, it can't, develop curriculum overnight either. It's just a
We
process.
try to put the timeline, we're gonna do a job task analysis, right? We have to do that, right? That really should be, any curriculum project should really always probably start with the job task analysis, right? So just doing that alone takes about at least 6 months, right? So you're in there about 6 months, but there's probably then at least a couple months where they're gathering information from us, learning about our processes. And then we also have to have key stakeholders to have input into that job task analysis to make sure we're asking the right questions too, right? So I don't know if they have any ride-alongs built into the process or not, but I'm sure there's going to be some sort of information gathering on their part. So you're in about 6 months just for the job task analysis. The curriculum development process, that's the part that's incredibly complex. I think anybody who's ever developed curriculum knows it's not as easy as we hope it always to be as quick. I would think that this curriculum will be probably a couple of weeks, if not. But what we're also trying to do is develop an online component as well that serves as a stopgap. So there's often times where we found that someone gets promoted to a position of first line supervisor, but the training is not available till 6, 7, 8 months later sometimes, right? The availability of it. And you have this individual in that position not having any training or any sort of guidance into that position, any formal training, so to speak. So we're looking at an online model to fill that stopgap too. And then it'll also serve as a primer for the actual in-service classroom portion of it. So there's kind of like 2 things going on too with the curriculum development. So just that alone is probably a couple of years in the making to put all that content together, right? And then you have to do the pilots. Depending on how it goes, I think at least 2 or 3 pilots are probably necessary. And then the implementation phase, and then going and training all the instructors and bringing up the teachers up to speed with the content. So that's kind of how we get to that point. I wish it was quicker, but it's just the nature of curriculum development. If we want to do it right, I mean, we could probably Frankenstein something together pretty quick, but I think it would be a disservice. So those are the unique challenges I think that would come up.
22 months of the 4 years is the rollout, right? So, we'll probably, we'll see more on
Just
the.
curious about the process. I wasn't picking on Molly.
Yeah.
Okay, and just an update on some of our, sorry.
Just had one more.
Yeah.
Just, and I know this is done, when we do job task analysis, a lot of attention is paid to line officers and line supervisory officers. But with this supervisor's course, I hope that there's a lot of attention paid to chiefs of police, deputy chiefs, senior commanders.
Yeah, I mean, that's all discussion we can have with the vendor once we're kicked off. We have part of their process is learning like our processes and what we want. So I'm sure that will happen.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I think last for the initiatives, I just wanted to touch base a little bit on some of the leadership things leadership trainings we've been focusing on since 2023. We were fortunate enough to have the training unit expand and create sort of our own internal leadership training unit that is managed by Dan Nedwell, and he's been doing a fantastic job over the past almost 3 years, getting it up and running, and he is on the road this week for the final trilogy course for the FBI LEADA certificate program. So we've been offering 3 trilogy programs, the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association certification, which we started in 2024. And we currently have 35 officers who are finishing that up this week in Rochester. So we've offered the Supervisory Leadership Institute and the Command Leadership Institute. And then this is the final week of the Executive Leadership Institute. We've been partnering with the FBI NAA Leadership Certificate Program. We started that in 2023. We were the first state to offer all of the entire trilogy and have been continuing to do so. So we have about 100 officers that have completed it over the past 2 years in Saratoga and Nassau County, and will be finishing up the 3rd in Onondaga County next week. And then we also have the Guardian Leadership Certification, which we started in 2024, and we ran a complete trilogy in Erie County with 50 officers completing, and then we just finished up the second offering in Westchester County with another 50 officers. And we plan to continue to offer those year after year. They're very popular. So we're already starting to sort of pencil in dates for 2026. In addition to that, we've offered some single topic trainings on recruitment and retention, succession planning, and supervisory liability with different. And then after the first of the year, we're going to be piloting more of an administrative type training with Mayan Consulting. And that's going to focus on budgeting and HR and navigating, local government structures, especially for those who are working with town and village boards. And we plan to do more. I mean, Dan just emailed me yesterday with more ideas for next year. So, which I think would be, obviously it's been very beneficial to our law enforcement leaders and those aspiring to be leaders. We're always oversubscribed with all of these courses. So it's definitely a good program that we have. So kudos to Dan. And then finally, just some of Officer Wellness Initiative. We are looking to implement the FBI-NA Officer Resiliency Instructor course as the basis for officer resiliency in New York. Staff were able to attend the instructor course and felt that it really encompasses a lot of the officer wellness programs that we're offering, as different standalones. We'd like to have this be sort of the standard in New York, and that way we can create our own cadre of instructors and go out and have this officer resiliency program. And with having our own set of instructors, we'll be able to tailor it to different communities. If we have our corrections training folks attend, they can have, we can put on specific courses for that community and the different law enforcement communities around the state. So that's also something that we're looking to hopefully get an instructor course in before the end of this fiscal year, if not the next fiscal year. That's it for now.
New business. Any council members have any new business they'd like to bring up? New business? Okay. If there's no new business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. I'll make that motion. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Right. Any opposed? Thank you very much. March 4th is the next meeting.
Let's be over.
Before we leave, just want to wish everyone a happy holiday season.
Same to you.
The months before
Thank
we're
you.
back here. Thank you.
Over here.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Doc.
10 years in the making, so.
It's not the result, it's the journey.
I was like, I bought a house, had 3 kids,